The Information Minister is ready with the press conference. We can go right there to the auditorium for that press conference.
With a quotation from the President of the Republic of Ghana and the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, with COVID-19 pandemic as a backdrop. I quote, "We know how to bring the economy back to life. What we do not know is how to bring people back to life. This is the heartbeat of the father of the nation, that human beings are more precious than economic gains. And this non-negotiable moral virtue should guide the landlord and tenant relationship within the confines of the law when the world is overwhelmed by the novel coronavirus. The life-threatening situation we find ourselves in as a nation has not suspended the law governing landlord and tenant relationship. On the contrary, the President is calling on all Ghanaians to be law-abiding more than ever before. Now, what does the law say about eviction of tenants by landlords? Section 19 of the Rent Act 1973, Act 220, as amended by Rent Control Law 1986, PNDC Law 138, and Rent Control Amendment Law 1986, PNDC Law 163, gives us a clear understanding as to the behaviors that we should all exhibit. When your rent is in arrears for 1 month, you can be evicted. That's what the law says. A conduct which is a nuisance or annoyance to adjoining occupiers could be a good reason for your eviction. Using the premises that you have leased for immoral or illegal purposes, giving a written notice to vacate the premises. The landlord also reasonably needs the premises for his own use or that of his family or any other person in his whole-time employment. And when we use the word haste, and the agenda sensitive, it means the landlady, where the lease has expired under Section 36 of the Act above and will become a statutory tenant when the tenancy is tied to an employment and the employment ceases. These are the scenarios that could bring about eviction. In all these circumstances, the law does not encourage self-help, but one's recourse is a district court or a court of competent jurisdiction. May I also remind you that the landlord may face criminal prosecution if he does any of the following to the tenant. A, fraud under Section 443 of the Conveyancing Act 1973 is occasion when the landlord falsifies title to the purported lease premises or refuses to divulge any encumbrance material to the title. A conviction could be a fine and an imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or both. B, rent advance exceeding 6 months could land you in jail of a maximum term of 2 years, a fine or both. Section 25(5) of the rent law as cited. This stipulates that monthly and shorter tenancies should not exceed more than a month's rent. Under Section 27 of the law, inducing a tenant to quit is a criminal offense. For example, trying to remove the windows so that because of the inconvenience, the tenant will be compelled to leave the place. Refusing to issue a rent card is also a criminal offense, punishable by a fine or imprisonment not exceeding 6 months or both. Refusing to issue a receipt for rent duly paid carries similar criminal sanctions. There is a miscellany of other offenses, but I want you to spare you any law lectures at the moment. We are being admonished to stay at home as much as possible, and even with the lifting of the lockdown, you have to stay at home. But if where you are supposed to stay is having challenges because of the bad behavior of a landlord or a landlady for that matter, it will be extremely un-Ghanaian. How is it going to work in the environment if landlords with appetites start evicting tenants from leased premises? That will be very un-Ghanaian. Landlords must also be worried of potential tenants from foreign countries. It is very mandatory to insist that without a COVID-19 negative clearance, the landlord should not rent out the premises. We all know that this pandemic has been imported, so be careful that in the name of dollars, you're going to bring in a foreigner who hasn't gotten clearance that is not infected by the disease to come and live in the premises. I need not remind you that the virus is an importation from foreigners, and those who had contacts with them prior to the lockdown. The president is showing utmost care and generosity in these trying moments in the nation's history. Landlords are entreated to extend similar treatment to tenants, as they will not be spared if they exploit the situation and fall far of the law. May the good Lord continue to bless us all. Honorable Minister,
yes, sir.
I promised you that I was going to be brief in these matters, and now that my senior is here, let me push on and address what I call the possible double slap. That is the impending flooding. We have COVID-19 challenges to deal with, and we also have the impending floods. There's a gentleman called Louis D. Brandeis. He said something that I want to quote. The greatest menace to freedom is an inert people. On the 22nd day of April 2020, I wrote to the Ministers of Sanitation and Water Resources, and Local Government and Rural Development, seeking their collaboration to embark upon voluntary, and I want to stress, voluntary emergency desilting program nationwide to avert the severe flooding situation in the country during the rainy season. May I, with respect, quote excerpts of what I wrote to my colleagues. Very brief. The inundation of rains with the attendant floods are imminent. We just had a couple of rains. They were not that very serious, but the rainy season is here. Very unfortunately, our country has been confronted with the COVID-19 challenges since the beginning of March 2020. No doubt, the president's handling of this worldwide crisis has been excellent, and his stocks are rising. My genuine concern is that the nation should not suffer a double agony, with severe flooding affecting lives, livelihood, and property during the rainy season, against the backdrop of the forecast of rainfall patterns across the nation well beyond normal by the Ghana Meteorological Services Agency. It is imperative that we bring this to the attention of all stakeholders, like district, municipal, and metropolitan chief executives, traditional authorities, civil society organizations, and the security services, to ensure that we embark upon a voluntary, nationwide removal of foreign materials in drains in order to avert disaster in a not too distant future. I trust that the ministry will have a positive collaboration with your ministries to avoid and/or contain disasters associated with rain runoffs in the coming months. Unquote. ladies and gentlemen of the press, a world-class engineering requires that drainage systems of a country should be subterranean. What that means is that it should be underground as opposed to open gutters. Ghana has primarily constructed open drains pre-colonial, and since President Nkrumah's days, open gutters have brought us more evil than good because of our subculture of emptying all the garbage in our homes into the open, old, and antiquated channels to the effect that they do not aid sewage flows. When we get the gutter choked with our homemade garbage, we call it boiler in the local parlance, and there is a heavy downpour, there is a water runoff, which has been glorified as perennial flooding. Constructing concrete drains and desilting works to contain perennial flooding has cost the nation a lot of money. Let me throw in a few numbers. In the year 2012, we spent 70,680,270 on National Flood Control Program, which also included trying to widen drainage channels and the rest of them. 17.6 odd million. 2013, 32,320 Ghana cedis. 2014, 24,816,006 Ghana cedis on National Flood Control Program and other drainage projects. In the year 2015, we spent 23,236,342 Ghana cedis on drainage challenges. In the year 2016, we spent 12,271,558 million Ghana cedis. In the year 2017, we spent 8,136,016.41. And then in the year 2018, because of the generosity and the large heart of President Akufo-Addo, we spent 220,584,188.69 million Ghana cedis on these drainage challenges. I want to submit that that's the largest financial injection in the area of drainage works. And that is what helped us tremendously in containing the flooding challenges. With the President's financial commitment of 200 million, which has since been honored, the following deal silting and concrete channel works had been undertaken countrywide. In fact, the list is very long, and I might want to give it to the press for them to consume. Greater Accra, let me just list a few. Pond area drains, South Kanishi drains, Agbogba drains, Hacho drains, Frafraha drains, Kasua Okrudu, Otinibi, Kwabenya, Kasua Obuom, Kasua Okrudu drains, Tuba drains, Ashiama, Telecom Valley, and the rest of it. Some people have fixated that the only flooding challenges that we have in the country is Greater Accra centered. That is not the case at all. In the entire country, we have challenges with drains. May I go to the Ashanti region? Kumase, Abu Abu drains, Atonsu, Abu Abu drains, Kumase, Tichem Su drain, Kumase, Chirapatre drains, Kumase, Adiabeba drains, Central region, Cape Coast Holy Child area drains, Winneba area drains, Aguna Swedro drains, Western region, Takrady, Ayuri drains, Takrady Kwesi Mintim drains. In the northern region, Tamale Gariba drains, Tamale Central drains, Tamale Guamani drains, and then Tamale Guamani drains number 2. The Volta region, Gold drains, Akachi, Hohoi drains. And the rest of them. The Brown Hafo region, you can look at Sunyani, Penkwesi drains. The Eastern region, that's my region, Gofrodia drain, Akwatia drain, Akropon drain, Lot 1, Akropon drain, Lot 2, and the rest of them. I will graciously release a list to the journalists for them to look at how we're able to tackle these problems. It is these infrastructure undertakings which helped the nation contain the floods last year. In fact, last year we had heavy downpours, but because of the arrangement in place and the huge infusion of money, which I have said that in the history of our country, we've never received such a huge injection, we were able to contain the situation. On the 20th day of January 2020, I wrote a letter to the Ghana Meteorological Agency regarding rainfall patterns in 2020. On the 29th day of January 2020, the Acting Director General, Dr. Michael M. Tanu, responded that, and I quote, "The rainfall patterns are expected to fall within the normal range to slightly above normal," unquote. Putting it mildly, the expert forecast is warning us of a heavy downpour this year. With President Akufo-Addo's integrity of heart and skillful hands in leading the nation to combat COVID-19, we cannot afford to be overwhelmed by floods. That will be a double slap. It is in the light of containing these two hostile forces that my ministry, in active collaboration with the Ministries of Sanitation and Water Resources and Local Government and Rural Development, are inviting all Ghanaians to voluntarily embark on desilting of the choke drains in their own neighborhood to permit free flow of sewage, even as we contain the devastating effects of flooding. In the all-hands-on-deck fight against COVID-19, President Akufo-Addo has called for sacrifice from all well-meaning Ghanaians. The President's generosity of heart should be emulated by all of us. Here is our clarion call. Let us wear our face mask, do social distancing, and voluntarily desilt our choke drains. It is in our best interest to do so. The 3 ministries and metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies will lead this voluntary national exercise. Our president is not inert. Ghanaians must not be inert. Let us contain the imminent floods now. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I finished. I should use the hand sanitizer. Okay. I'm grateful to you. Yes, please. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, we're grateful for that advisory that you share with us this afternoon. Colleagues, there are about parts of our brief that we will take this afternoon. As I mentioned, one is are going to join us and do that for us shortly. We will also briefly spend some time talking about the economy and health, and then specifically, or as part of that, the 88 district hospitals that
we're bringing you live visuals from the press conference of the Ministry for Information's COVID-19 periodic briefing ongoing there. We'll go back there when the Minister for Health talks about 88 district hospitals that have been described. But you had the Minister for Housing, Works and Housing, Honorable Atta Akyea, speak to the issue of flooding, rent, etc. Well, speaking about flooding, he talks about how much money has been put in